Hardware tip 1. Pressing the power button should feel identical to patting the top of your horse's head. Good girl. Well, I've got good news for acquisition fans this week, as Sony picked up Cinemersive Labs, a UK-based machine learning and computer vision company. Now, you might think such an acquisition is boring and most likely inconsequential. You might even ask, why? Well, at Sony Interactive Entertainment, the company behind the PlayStation brand, by the way, I didn't realize until this week that for some reason Sony Interactive Entertainment always refers to themselves as the company behind PlayStation. If it's going to be like that every time, just call yourselves PlayStation. Anyway, the company behind the PlayStation brand is continually exploring new ways to push the boundaries of visual computing and delivering richer, more immersive gameplay experiences. And I could swear I had read a sentence just like that just last week when Sony had to explain the significant price increase of PlayStation hardware. And to be fair, they started raw. They said, with continued pressures in the global economic landscape, we've made the decision to increase the prices of PS5, PS5 Pro, and PlayStation Portal Remote Player globally. It's weird. That was big news and not big news at the same time. When the PlayStation 4 Pro launched less than 2 years ago, less than a year and a half ago, it was $700 US. Now they've chosen to make that a $900 US console. And usually that number would be absurd. That would sound bonkers, but we live in bonkers times. $900 is like 1 week of eating footlongs at Subway. But that wasn't the only reason they gave for raising prices. They said, we found this was a necessary step to ensure we can continue delivering innovative, high-quality gaming experiences to players worldwide. So the top of the whiteboard at SIE said, deliver immersive experiences. And their two best ideas were raise prices and acquire ambiguously AI graphics company. It's also humorous, of course, that Sony would make such claims considering they just shut down another game studio last week, Dark Outlaw Games. But to talk about Dark Outlaw Games, I think we should cover a bit of history. So let's go back to Summer Game Fest 2021, where the world was first introduced to Deviation games. Now, I do think it should be noted that just like many of today's kindergartners, Summer Game Fest was birthed during the COVID era. It wasn't one of these big live audience spectacles you'd expect today. Nah, it started humbly in Jeff Keighley's home office. In those first years, you would be lucky to have a pre-recorded message from Alf.
Can I get some F's in chat for Kaylee's career?
It's Keighley, not Kaylee, Alf. But thanks.
This stuff's actually pretty crazy to go back to. They got Weezer there to perform like a live music video, just promoting a game where animals skate on boats.
Don't be influenced by an office full of dorks.
Anyway, what I'm saying is if you wanted to come on stage and announce your studio and then not say a single thing about the game you're making, 2021 Summer Game Fest wasn't going to say no. So here's Dave Anthony and Jason Blundell, formerly Treyarch, announcing their new studio, Deviation Games. And there's a few things about this bit that I would say are sad today, in hindsight. Firstly, it's how they're establishing their relationship.
Jason and I, we've been mates for donkey's years. And we're like an all-married couple, Jeff. And we've been working together for decades.
You could even see in the promo materials that would come out that they're really excited to have these two former Call of Duty leads, best buddies, working together at a new studio. And then another thing they wanted to stress at the very start is how excited they are to have complete financial freedom.
From day one, we got complete financial security to work with creative freedom and time, not just to make a brand new IP, which is what we're doing, but a groundbreaking new IP with innovation at its very core.
Yeah, at the time, Dave Anthony would say things like this to game industry. From day one of the studio, we have complete financial security for years and years to come. So I watched this crazy video on the Deviation Games YouTube channel. It's their 2021 James Bond themed holiday party. It's pretty swanky. They've even got the Deviation Games logo on cigars and poker chips. They were, at this moment, visibly not concerned about money.
Merry Christmas!
That was just less than a year after that party in 2022. The old married couple got divorced. Jason Blundell left Deviation Games while Dave Anthony remained CEO. And then in 2024, just 2 years after that, it was announced on LinkedIn that the studio was shutting down. And right up until that very end, we never saw a second of their video game, even though we did see the Deviation Games cruise night. Though, if you're looking for some unofficial stuff, just late last year, established Resident Evil plot leaker Dust Golem did indeed publish some footage of the game. I'll say this. It's early. It's rough. Nothing looks good. No video game has ever looked good at this phase of development.
Wonder what happened here.
Don't stick around to find out.
You mean to tell me you were walking around Griffith Observatory saying stuff like this?
Everything's getting a bit stale at the moment. It's all getting a bit dry. When we set Deviation up, it was a very specific goal to deviate away from the humdrum, from the normal, from the boring, from the things that we've seen 1,000 times.
And the game, it turns out, was, shooting splashy bugs with machine guns. To be fair, it looks like sometimes you'd also have to shoot generators. And then in 2025, 1 year after the closure of Deviation, Jason Blundell is on a podcast, The Jeff Gerstmann Show, to confirm he's got a new studio called Dark Outlaw Games, and they're fully owned by Sony. I don't know if I made that clear earlier before. Deviation was their own studio, and Sony was going to publish their game. This new one, Dark Outlaw, is owned by Sony. And anyway, I like that in this interview itself, Jason Blundell seems to kind of acknowledge that this time he's not going to do a whole hullabaloo about the studio announcement.
When we've got something to talk about, we'll step out into the light. But, the story for me is going to be about the game, not about the studio. So the reason why we're not doing a fanfare or shouting about it from the rooftops is like, let's get something, right? But Dark Outlaw Games.
And that was it. That was the entire announcement. There was never a welcome to the family blog post for Dark Outlaw Games. And in fact, up until last week, the only official acknowledgement Sony ever made of this studio existing under their umbrella was this one website. As of the time of recording, it's still up, just hanging out here mysteriously. There's no pictures, there's no words, just a logo. And so now, back to the present. 1 year after that studio announcement, Dark Outlaw Games is closed. PC Gamer managed to grab an official statement about it. Sony Interactive Entertainment Studio Business Group has made several strategic adjustments to support long-term sustainability. It's all that needed to be said, apparently. And for the record, Jason Blundell publicly does not seem to be too bitter about Sony shuttering that studio. And, as a matter of fact, has already announced his next studio, going even more low-key, just on a Twitch stream now.
It exists. Magic Fractal. New game studio.
Sure is.
And I guess what really threw me, watching that original Deviation Games announcement from 2021, was this part.
The partnership with Sony, it's very, very simple. I mean, God, just look at the track record of consistency, of high-quality games that they do. It's hit after hit. It's award after award. And now we've been part of this process and we see how they do things. Yeah. It's really clear how they're managing to accomplish that. So we couldn't be more proud to expand PlayStation's portfolio, which we're going to do in a very, very significant way.
I mean, let's just face it, right? Sony rocks, and they get our kind of brand of crazy, so we're very happy with this partnership.
All right, so Deviation Games, PlayStation, brand new IP, a mega IP, it sounds like, coming in the future.
It's just wild to be able to witness how quickly times change. Just today, I don't think any developer would say out loud, let's face it, Sony rocks. Like, yeah, I mean, and then maybe a little turnaround slowly. Saros is coming out in a few weeks. Wolverine eventually. But I can't imagine anyone going out of their way to say Sony rocks anytime soon. Probably not till Fair Games comes out. And that's delayed input. I'll be back next week. Until then, thanks for watching. So this week I was just naturally looking at way too many PlayStation marketing and blog posts, and I came across this one from last year, which was really excited about a new ad campaign. And it was just for one of these, like a live action experiential kind of commercial. And Sony's done them for a long time. Xbox too. Xbox still does them. Like last year's Xbox Wake Up brand trailer. It's like a minute of rat people and 4 seconds of video game. Anyway, I think one of the most embarrassing things you could possibly read is a marketing team justifying and explaining an advertising campaign. And if you're a sick freak like I am, Sony provided. This holiday season, Sony Interactive Entertainment, the company behind the PlayStation brand, is going big with a global brand campaign that's as bold as it is fun. Launching today, it happens on PlayStation 5, kicks off with the goal to excite and delight our global community of gamers, and remind prospective players what they're missing. Because these unforgettable moments, this energy, it's happening only on PlayStation 5. Okay, so what's the energy here? What are we going for? The thing is, video games are actually cool. You don't have to have a person trapped in a truck like this to communicate that. And then the other two ideas they had, there are 3 total. The other 2 ideas, to me, are not that crazy. Like, what if you and a friend crashed a space cruiser, but this lady wouldn't help you? Or how about, what if the end of Men in Black happened to you? Look, I don't want to hurt anyone's jobs. Okay, especially in this climate. But if you're looking to save some money, why not just stop doing commercials like that? Like, just stop and see what happens.